Hey guys, what's up? It's Frank here from Altcoin Buzz, and today we have another exciting and informative video about NEAR protocol. Here we're looking at NEAR USDT on Binance. This coin, this cryptocurrency has experienced explosive growth, 3,500% since a year and a half ago. So can this trend continue? Interestingly enough, NEAR protocol has had a 6.6% loss over the past week, which, if you look at all the other top 30 altcoins, is actually the lowest loss compared to all the others, apart from, of course, the stable coins. So clearly it's been holding its own pretty well. We almost reached all-time high this past week. So we're gonna see if this is something which is likely to happen to reach the all-time high of NEAR protocol of $20.4. Of course, we're gonna start by looking at the bigger picture, but we're gonna go all the way down to the 4-hour time frame, and I'm gonna show you some especially important indicator, which is the MACD. Actually, on the daily time frame, the MACD is doing something now which in the past has led to some very predictable outcomes. So I'm going to tell you why you have to be watching out for this and what this likely means for the price. Stick around till the end of the video, until the end of the analysis, to find out what that is. Now, for those of you who don't know, Altcoin Buzz is first and foremost a crypto investment research company, and we have been providing you numerous 100x returns since 2017. So if you want to get in on that action, join our Altcoin Buzz Access group, where we document up-to-date research covering undervalued altcoin gems, NFT minting opportunities, and our portfolio strategies. The new and improved Altcoin Buzz Access Group memberships start at just $99 per month. So click the link down in the description or in the pinned comment section down below to take part in the action. Alternatively, just click the link up above. And finally, please note that this is not financial advice. Okay, so we're looking at NEAR USDT here on tradingview.com. Now, I like to think of every cryptocurrency, every chart really, as a person who has a history. And most people, just as most charts, most assets, tend to be going up, tend to be improving in certain ways over time. And as you can see, NEAR has an uptrend here, a high, a higher low, a higher high. So we're in a very clear uptrend. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we have seen almost 3,500% growth since October 2020, about a year and a half. So can we continue for another move up, or are we potentially reaching a top here? Just as everyone has good times in their life where things are going well, sometimes the momentum starts to diminish. So that's what we're going to see today. Is the momentum still there, or are we losing it? So let's actually go to the weekly time frame where we can see something of relevance. First of all, look at this massive volume spike here for the week of the 4th of April 2020 until a couple days ago. We didn't have this much volume since September 2021, so a very long time ago. And also note this candle over here. This is known as a spinning top. So what does this mean? This means that there was a long upper wick, there was a long lower wick, and this is actually a bearish spinning top where the open of the candle was above the close of the candle. It's also known as an indecision candle because the price sort of goes up and down and traders are not really sure which direction it's going in, but certainly the direction of this candle is not great. And this is also potentially a blowout top. We've had a lot of volume here. It's not the perfect example of a blowout top. I will actually show you what a very good example of a blowout top looks like when we go down to the lower time frames. But look also at this. We have a bullish crossover of the MACD. The MACD line, which is this blue line, has crossed over the signal line, which is, by the way, the 9 moving average, the 9 unit moving average of this blue line. So this is a good sign. It means that the momentum is still here on the weekly time frame, despite having had this, somewhat bearish indecision candle, this spinning top right now. And this is further made clear by the 3 candles prior to this spinning top, which of course is known as the 3 white soldiers formation. Basically just 3 green candles, one after another, each with higher lows and higher highs. So basically the weekly time frame is telling us that yes, we are in an uptrend. However, there is some reason to be cautious with this last candle, and we're going to look down at the daily and 1 hour and 4 hour time frames to see if we have any more detail. Now here we have the perfect textbook definition of a blowout top. We have an increasing volume over here, a volume spike on the 8th of April. Again, we haven't seen this much volume since December 2021, many months now. Not to mention that we also have this bearish candle over here on the 8th of April. The name of this candle is a gravestone doji. The basic structure, which is a very long upper wick and a small body with a very lower to non-existent lower wick, is there. And this is a bearish candle. Not to mention that we broke through this parallel channel and then came right back down with the blow off top. And then to top that off, we also had a bearish divergence on the RSI, a lower low on the RSI, and a higher high on the price. And it was no surprise whatsoever that we saw a cooling down of the price here, a loss in momentum. Now, will this loss in momentum continue to further downside action? This is what we're going to find out today. Quick mid-video question for you guys. Type down in the comment section below, do you think we are more likely to, first of all, hit the $13.5 level or the previous high of $20.2? Which level do you think we are more likely to hit first? And of course, watch the rest of the video to inform that decision, but also please let me know what you think and why. So first of all, I'm zooming out here to show you the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is this parallel channel. Now, I like parallel channels. This is not a perfect example of one, but this is what you should do when you see two lines here which have very clear pivot points. Something which a lot of traders do is they draw a parallel channel where on the top you see there's only one touch, which technically is not enough for a trend line. You need at least two. However, what often happens is that the price will form a channel whereby these two, if you draw a parallel line as I have here, it's very possible that we will find some sort of resistance up here, and that's why I have a resistance here at the $23.5 level. If you wait until the end of the video, I'll tell you what all the major resistances and supports are, but this is what I would view as the sort of intermediate term potential resistance were we to get up there. Right, so with that in mind, you can see that we're basically in the middle of this channel. So this is a sign that, again, there's not a lot of clarity as to which direction we are likely to head, because we're not currently in a clear support, the bottom of the channel, or resistance, the top of the channel. Now here is what I want you to pay attention to, what I mentioned in the beginning of the video, what is probably the most significant indicator on this chart is this MACD. Now if we zoom in here, we can see that the MACD line is very close to the signal line. It's had almost a vertical drop, and so it seems very likely that we will break through this line. And if we break through this line, we need to back test to see what has happened the past times that we've broken through this line. And more specifically, we're only looking at a bearish crossover of the MACD which falls above the 0 line here. So the first clear crossover we saw was back here in September 2021. As you can see, the price was stabilizing then. It had a little bit of downward movement, but basically we did not see any upside price action, right? The price was more or less stable for many days thereafter. The next time we saw a crossover was in November 2021. And again, we saw a lot of stabilizing of the price, and then we saw a move down, right? And this move down correlated with what? Another bearish crossover on the MACD. So again, we already have 1, 2, 3 signs that this means that we are not going to see any upwards price action in the coming days. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In January 2022, on the 8th of January 2022, we had a bearish crossover, but here, instead of the price going down, we actually had several green bars taking us to new highs. But what happened when we reached those new highs? we had a very, very big dump. And from the high of $20, we went all the way down to $7.5 for a 63% loss on the value of this asset. So yes, we did have another move up, but very shortly after we had what? Another bearish crossover of the MACD, and again, a lot of bearish price action thereafter. So what I predict is that, first of all, we need to watch closely over the coming couple of days to see if we see this bearish crossover. It seems rather likely that we do. And if we do, there's two scenarios. The more likely scenario, which has happened at least 3 times over the past several months, is that we see a stabilizing of price. So a stabilizing of the price might look something like this. We may even come down and find support at this major support level, approximately the $11 level. But we may also instead simply do something along these lines where we really just don't have much movement in either direction before making another move up. Now, this is what I would view as the most likely scenario, that we have a cooling down of the price, nothing too major. I think it's relatively unlikely that we go too much below the $11 mark. And then hopefully, potentially, because again, as we mentioned, there is a bullish crossover on the MACD on the weekly, because we're looking for a long bias, it's more likely than not that the trend will continue. The trend is your friend, of course. But another possibility, which, as I mentioned, we saw over here, bearish crossover. What happened? We had one big more move up to shock all these traders, and then an explosive move down. So this could also happen now, and this would look something like this, whereby, instead of going down now, we have another move up, whereby we cross the previous high. Everyone's very excited. There's a lot of movement in the market, and then we have another blowout top where we potentially reach this $23.5 level at the top of this parallel channel, and then have another more brutal move down, again potentially down to the bottom of this channel at $11. And certainly if we have a move up to the top there, it's somewhat more likely that we have, especially if we have it quickly within the next few days, and we have another volume spike surpassing this previous one, then the market will be overheated. We'll very likely see overbought signs on the RSI, and then we're more likely to see a more explosive move down, very similar to how we saw back here in January. So if you are looking to short the market, I would say this is potentially an interesting level to look at, the $23.5 level, but I certainly wouldn't recommend doing that blindly. You would be wanting to look for certain patterns, certain candles, bearish candles and or indicators on the RSI and the MACD, which would suggest good reasons for going short. Now, if we zoom in a little bit here, we're seeing some interesting price action here. On the RSI, we saw a bearish divergence here, as I mentioned before, where we had a higher high on the price and a lower low on the RSI, and this led to some bearish action over the past 3 days. However, we're also seeing a hidden bullish divergence, whereby we have a lower low on the RSI, but a slightly higher high on the price. So again, we are seeing several mixed signals here, and this is why I personally would say this is a very, very bad idea to be looking for a trade anywhere near the current price level. We really want to be coming down closer towards the $11.5 level, or coming up towards the $23.5 level before I would want to consider entering a trade here. But as I mentioned, the weekly time frame is in an uptrend. There's no reason to believe that we are going to cross below this, the major support, which is the $6.5 level. But even getting down to the $7.5 level is relatively unlikely, unless of course we have a complete breakdown of the cryptocurrency markets. So we are looking for a long bias, and if we are looking to enter long, let's look at the 4-hour time frame here. So on the 4-hour time frame, we are seeing this resistance at the $17.6 level. We had multiple touches of this level. We had a brief breakout, but unfortunately it did not work. It did not lead to any further bullish price action. We came up, we tested it again. So clearly, if we manage to break up over this again, it's much more likely that this time we will actually find more bullish price action because at that point, the sellers who are obviously trying to sell at the $17.5 level will be exhausted. There won't be any more of them, and then this will likely lead to further price action to the upside. But certainly, this is a very important resistance to break, the $17.5 level. And on the 4-hour, it looks more likely than not, because we are in a downtrend, right? A lower high, lower low, somewhat more likely than not that we will instead come down to a level such as the $14.6 level. This marks previous resistance, previous support. So these would be the two levels between which we would be bouncing between, and any break of either of these levels is likely to be quite significant for the short to medium term. So when it comes to the major support levels, the next level we're looking at, again, here we're zooming out a bit on the daily time frame, the 13.45 level. We've had previous support twice, once resistance, so we might find some support there. Another much more major level is the 11.115 level for multiple reasons. Number one, we have a volume profile here suggesting a lot of interest at this particular price. This is a feature only available on tradingview.com of the Pro version. So not only that, but we have a potential touch on this diagonal support line, which would come down if the price were to come down over the coming week or two. And then the next support would be, of course, the weekly low at the $7.5 level. Although my bet is that we won't actually be getting down to this level at all. Now, in terms of the resistance, the 4-hour time frame is going to help us here. We have the $17.5 level, as I mentioned, multiple times that we tried to break out from this. We had one failed breakout. If we break out from this again, very likely we see more price action to the upside. The next resistance would clearly be the previous all-time high of approximately $20.2. Obviously, we had some spikes, some wicks pushing us out from that, but I would say $20.2 if we're looking at the previous candle closes. And then finally, if we do break out from this high, certainly if we break out from it within the coming week or two, my prediction would be that we would be looking at to see what happens at the $23.5 level, if there are any signs of resistance there, because this is a potential resistance if this diagonal channel over here continues to form. In other words, if the two lows of this channel corresponds to highs on the upper side of this channel. And this is the 4-hour, but if you look at the daily, again, these larger channels, it's better to go on the higher time frames. You can see that we have a closes at the bottom of this channel, so potentially we will see a close at the top of this channel. All right, guys, that's been it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. And if you enjoyed this technical analysis, feel free to check out my previous videos. I made a video on Solana, which you can find over here. I like to make things simple, so if you appreciate this type of technical analysis, then you will likely enjoy that video as well. So this is a good sign. It means that the momentum is still here.